I'm your host, John Kramer, and you're watching the Star Wars Generation. You're watching the Star Wars Generation, where normally I have a guest and we talk about what it was like to grow up Star Wars. But last week, I saw The Last Jedi, and I saw it again today for a second time. And I'm going to have to start up a new segment called The Rants, because I simply did not like the movie. So at least it wasn't a canon-contradicting catastrophe like Rogue One was, but this movie was just so slow and so boring, and just so many missed opportunities. Now, it's probably too late to even need a warning like this, but just in case, spoiler alert. So, the movie starts with Poe Dameron stalling. The movie ends with Luke Skywalker stalling. And the whole middle portion is filled with spaceships running out of gas, therefore their engines are stalling. It was so slow. There was no action in the movie. Even the AT-AT scene at the end was just so boring because nothing happens. It's a bunch of broken ships flying, but no actual battle taking place. Now I'm just going to start at the beginning of the movie. Let's talk about that bomber. We've got one bomber that somehow is able to take out an entire juggernaut. So now, first off, how on earth are the bombs even dropping out of the bomber? Because that would normally require gravity. But we're in a zero gravity environment. And now these bombs are somehow dropping out. Now, I'll give you a little bit of a break because in The Empire Strikes Back, we had TIE bombers. And those bombers were bombing the asteroids that the Millennium Falcon was hiding in. But we never really saw how those operated. There could have easily been some sort of propellant that was launching those bombs out. Could be there was a gravitational field around that asteroid because it was large enough. I don't know, but still, they totally made it appear as if gravity is what is making these bombs operate. The next thing, what on earth was in those bombs that it was able to destroy the entire juggernaut? And if you have something that destructive, then put it on the end of a torpedo and launch it. Like, you don't need to put yourself in harm's way in this slow-moving, unarmed bomber waiting to get destroyed. Go back 8 miles and launch it on a stupid torpedo and blow that thing up. Now, the only reason they had that scene, of course, with the bombers, was to create some sort of cathartic experience to introduce us to Rose. But before we go off on Rose, let's talk about the missed opportunities. So, I'm going to go back to the original Star Wars film, 1977, Star Wars, now called A New Hope. We had a character, Grand Moff Tarkin. He was written specifically to kill him off that episode. So because we were going to kill him off that episode, Lucas was very transparent with his backstory. He created no mysteries about him. All we learned and all we needed to learn was that he was a military officer, he was high-ranking, and Vader obeyed what he said. Just like that time when they're in that big conference room and Vader's trying to prove the point of the Force and he starts giving the Force choke to Admiral Motti. And when Grand Moff Tarkin says, "Enough already, let him go, Vader," Vader does. So Vader has respect and fear for this guy. But aside from that, that's all we need to know. And there's no hidden backstory, no anything. So therefore, it's okay to kill him at the end of the first movie, because there are no mysteries behind him. But now we've got a character called Snoke, who's got this whole mysterious background. We have no idea where he came from. We have no idea who he is. In The Force Awakens, they portray him as a big giant hologram. In this movie, they portray him as just a regular-sized human. Why is he all scarred and deformed? We have all these questions about Snoke. So you can't kill him off until you've answered those questions. So we just have this whole possibility of introducing these new cool things in this movie, but instead we killed him off. It's, everybody walks away going, oh, what a surprise, I never expected that. Oh, how amazing. That was stupid. You can't kill off Snoke until you tell us about him. Like, for instance, in The Force Awakens, they're talking about how Snoke came and was able to lure Kylo Ren away. But then we get to this movie and we're still not learning how he even had involvement in it. We've learned that Kylo Ren went to Luke's island to get trained, and that Snoke somehow took him, but Snoke was never there. In all the back scenes that we see, there's no Snoke involvement. And now you kill him. So he just became a wasted, pointless character. He wasn't even needed in this movie. He wasn't even needed for either of the movies, because he served no role, he served no point. You're claiming he's the person who lured Kylo Ren, but how? You've got to explain these things before you kill him off. Yeah, second rant, Luke's lightsaber. Okay, Luke's lightsaber originally belonged to Anakin. Anakin fought with it, he lost it in the battle with Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan picked it up, kept it in his junk drawer for 20 years, waiting till he could give it to Luke. Now Luke takes it, he trains with it. He then goes to Cloud City where his hand is then cut off, and he loses it down some abyss, some void, some technological chasm. Now somehow, it winds up in the hands of Maz Kanata. And now she keeps it in her junk drawer for who knows how many years. Now ultimately she gives it to Rey, Rey gives it to Luke. And Luke then just tosses it over his shoulder. Now if the lightsaber doesn't mean anything to Luke, that's fine. But the problem is, it means a lot to us, the viewers, because we know the history behind it. So to the viewers, you cannot treat it as unimportant. You need to explain to us how Maz Kanata got it. That thing got chopped off and fell down in some chasm, never to be seen again. Yet somehow we've got it. We have some questions that need to be answered here. And then ultimately, the movie ends with the lightsaber cut in half. So now it's not even going to play a part in the film. If all you needed was a lightsaber, then just put in a lightsaber. But you brought in the most significant lightsaber in Star Wars history, and now you treat it as if it's nothing. You can't do that in this movie. Next rant. We've seen that in The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, there is some sort of connection between Rey and Kylo Ren. You can see the way Kylo responds in The Force Awakens when he hears about the girl. There's something there. And you can see by the connections she seems to have with Han Solo, there's something there. The fact that she can just immediately pilot the Millennium Falcon shows there must be some sort of a connection. The fact that Han Solo wants to hire her means there must be some sort of a connection. Leia responds, oh, I heard about the girl, when she gets kidnapped. If she were a nobody, they wouldn't be making these comments like that. But they seem to imply that there is something special about this girl. And then in The Last Jedi, you're at this point where Rey and Kylo Ren are communicating with each other. The only time we've ever seen that happen before, because we've seen Jedis feel another person's presence, but we've never seen communication. But the time we really see communication between two different people is between Luke and Leia. When Luke is hanging upside down underneath Cloud City and he's able to communicate with Leia. And the reason why is because we learn they are brother and sister. So now, instead of taking this opportunity to explain this connection between Kylo Ren and Rey, we later find out, oh, it was just Snoke. So it just becomes completely stupid. It was a wasted opportunity. Back in the early 80s, a graphic novel came out, an XMen graphic novel, called God Loves, Man Kills. And it actually became the basis for the X2 movie. And in it, the evil mutants and the good mutants learn that if they want to defeat William Stryker and help save mutant freedom, they're going to have to team up together. And so the X-Men team up with Magneto, their arch nemesis, to go fight William Stryker. we had such an opportunity in this movie for Kylo Ren and Rey to do that. There could have been, it's called The Last Jedi, so they're making it sound as if the Jedi are being threatened. They even kind of imply that. So wouldn't it be amazing if Force user Kylo Ren and Force user Rey realize that if they want to save this, they have to team up together because they're both Force users. But instead, we bring them really close to teaming up. We have a little battle scene there in Snoke's quarters, but ultimately it ends back the way we were before it even started. So you create all this pointless tension because you just go back to where you were in the beginning. We never progressed in this movie. We kept hinting on big things happening, but nothing big ever happened because we just wound up where we were when we started.